Hello and welcome back to the Face Off podcast. This is episode 10. I don't have a name for this one. I came up with names before the other ones went up. So this is a weird one. All right, I have no name for it. I'm gonna call it Imposters. Let's call it Imposters or the Summer Blues. Let's call it Pod People or the Summer Blues. Let's call it Im-POD-sters. Im-POD-sters or the Summer Blues. I like it when they used to do that, when they would take a movie or a book. Well, I guess mostly like movies or TV shows, and they would give them a title. Remember, they used to do that. They used to show you the title of the TV show sometimes. I guess that's real old though. Real old. I don't know. Maybe it's not that old. I don't know anything. That's what I'm getting at here. Basically, is the fundamental understanding that we're going for is that I know nothing. 0% of anything. So this is episode 10 of the Face Off podcast. Im-POD-sters. Im-POD-sters or the Summer of Love. Wait, the Summer Blues. The Summer Blues. Im-POD-sters or the Summer Blues. Attack of the Im-POD-sters and the Summer Blues. No, they used to do that though. I guess they still do sometimes. Where they give a movie a title and they say this is the title of the movie or this is the title of the movie. You get to choose. You get to pick your movie title. Buddy, that's pretty cool. It's a deal right there, pal. So this is what did we come up with here? This is Invasion of the In-Pod Snackers and thus the tidal wave of Summer Blues. Ooh. You ever wonder about that? The Summer Blues, that's an idea that goes back a long time. Like, obviously you got the winter blues, that's the SADS these days, your seasonal affective disorder, right? But the summer blues, that's when it's sunny out, it's supposed to be good, everything's supposed to be nice. I have a theory, it's the humidity blues. It's not summer blues at all, because nobody wants to do shit in the humidity, because it's garbage. Hate it so bad. Anybody else hate the humidity? It's stupid. What a waste of life. So this is the attack of the Im-POD-ster people and the tidal wave of summer love. Episode 10 of the Face Off podcast. And I've got to tell you, 10 is more than 9 by a lot. And more than 8 also. Exponentially more. 10 is too much almost. I cannot even imagine 53 or 2, depending on what. It's too much. It seems insurmountable. I don't feel like it's going to be possible. I feel like 10, man, 10. So 10 is 20 hours plus of, I would say, what is that? If it's 2 hours 15 minutes, so I guess you shave a little bit. I'm gonna say 22 hours of face-off viewing in the last just 2.5 months. Is that how it works? 10 weeks, 2.5 months. We've been through a lot in 2.5 months. That's almost a quarter. We got 2 more episodes to go, and we'll be at a one quarter. We'll have put in a quarter, a financial or a fiscal quarter. We'll have passed. Oh Jesus, this is craziness. to tell you. I've just discovered recently. I knew it for a while. I just didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to say it out loud and have it become truth. But I'm going to be living in Spokane. Living in quotations. I'm going to say that in quotations. This is life is what you make it, and I am making it in quotations. That's where I'm saying this is life in quotes. That's a good title for a podcast. Life in quotes. Right now, like sarcastically, I'm saying this is living. So I'm going to be living sarcastically in Spokane for at least another year. The lease is up this month. We're going to sign another contract to do the apartment. Not that that's a guarantee that I might get, landed on by a plane tomorrow. I could go for a little of that, but also I could just leave. Contracts aren't anything. Did you guys know that? They're just pieces of paper with writing on them. They're promises that are yet to be broken. But you can just you can leave. It doesn't fucking matter. None of this shit matters, This is a bad attitude I'm bringing into this podcast already. Real bad attitude. So, gonna sign another contract. We decided that we're staying here. We're gonna quote live unquote in Spokane for the next year, and so that means that this podcast will have started and also end in Spokane, because it'll be well within the year. I guess it'll be June next year. That'll be the end of this fucking nightmare. It's not so bad. It's the watching. It's the anticipation. This is not a great movie. It's not fun, and it takes 2 hours every time. So there's this chunk of time where it's like, oh shit. It's almost like if you have to go to a doctor's appointment and you're like, I don't want to do that only because I don't want to spend the time. It's like, yeah, whatever. I'll go to do that, but I don't want it to be like if you could do a doctor's appointment in your sleep. Maybe I'll try doing that. I'm gonna put on some headphones and some VR goggles and watch Face Off in my sleep, virtual reality style. 'Cause doing it while being quote unquote alive and quote unquote awake is not excellent. I was watching some of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. That's a pretty funny movie, I guess. I didn't finish it. Watched some of it. I'll probably go back. That's how I've been watching movies lately, in little itty bitty chunks here and there. Just a little bit here and a little bit there. You know what? That's what I might do next week, is fuck all this sitting down and trying to grind out 2 hours. I'll cut it up into 15 minutes. I'll sit down, 8 times, 9 times, however long it takes throughout the week. And maybe I'll have a way better attitude, because the same thing happened this episode, this viewing that happens when I try to sit down is right around the end, right around Erewhon Prison, right around the end of that. I feel like I know that Erewhon Prison scene so well, because that's when I try to pay attention. When I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start losing my attention. The whole first half of the movie, I feel like I have it memorized. I feel like that's the meaty part. The rest is just shooting and jumping. They jump weird, trying to dodge bullets. It's so weird. But I'm missing the end. I know there's got to be something hidden in there, but I'm just so bored by the time it rolls around. So next week, which is now this week, so this week is last week, but next week is now this week. So this week, this viewing number 11, I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to chop it up into 15-minute chunks. I can do 15 minutes. Shit. I was just looking at my computer. It says there's disk space remaining to record 516 hours. That's in 23 minutes. That's a lot of chatting. That'd be cool if I did a 516-hour long episode, just one episode that lasted a year. I don't know how many days 500 hours would be. A lot. Definitely a lot. Should be like, what, 20 something days, 25 days maybe. That's cool. I'm still getting comfortable with new technology. It feels all right. Sounds good. Looks pretty good. Definitely not phallic. It got still haven't made it to the store. Yeah, I've been procrastinating on that. Not really procrastinating, just completely forgetting. I have a tendency to do that these days, is if I'm not actively thinking about something, then I'm not thinking about it at all. It's not in the back of my head. I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned with it. It's just not there if it's not up front. You know? It just doesn't matter. It doesn't even exist. There's a word for that. Okay, so like when you were a kid, when I was a kid, and this is a common enough thing that it's got a name. I don't know the name, obviously, off the top of my head. But okay, so when you're a kid, when I was a kid and I'm walking down the street, there's this idea that what's in front of me is what is, and what's behind me isn't. So if I'm not looking at it, it doesn't exist. So kind of the idea of like, if you close the refrigerator, is there anything actually in there? You know? Okay, so if your attention is not on it, it doesn't exist. Oh, here's an example. When I would be out of school, I expected that the class didn't do anything because I wasn't there. Like, I was the most important part of that, you know? And so without me, everything just ceased to exist. And I think it's actually more common these days for that sort of mentality. Maybe not 100% like that, like not full on, but definitely like a partial mentality of that keeps going, like way later in life, you know? I don't know. I feel like pretty unimportant. Like, I feel like I've had it sort of pounded out of me where everything stops when I'm not there. Like, it's almost the exact opposite. Like, I feel like I'm this bit. It's weird because narcissism works in both directions. So it works positively where you're like Lex Luger, where you're like, I'm the best. I'm the he had a mirror. That was good. Lex Luger, the narcissist. So narcissism where you're like, I'm the best. I'm the greatest. I'm God's gift to earth. And then there's the narcissism of I'm the worst, and I'm causing all these problems by being bad. And so that's where my narcissism tends to go these days, is that if I'm not there, then all these things that I was blocking off, all these energies that my presence was blocking off, are now open, and different things can happen now, and stuff can change, you know? So that's where it's just a different version of that. It's like being hyper aware of things continuing on without me there, without my input or perception. Without my perception being available, things still just continue on down the old dusty trail. Just stuff is happening, you know, and that's good. I think it's good that way. I mean, it's good to recognize that it's good to recognize that one single person does make a difference, but that difference is negligible. And if you stretch the timeline out long enough, it literally goes to nothing. It goes to nothingness, just like a raindrop, just a blip, just a little bloob in the whole shmishmash shpabangle. This episode, the idea I had about Face Off, which is a new-ish idea, is there is a mental illness And I don't, man, I should. Here's the issue that I'm having. Okay, let's put a pin in that mental illness. Let's come back to that in just a minute. We're going to put a pin in our mental illness, and we'll come back in just 2 seconds. I should research this more. I should research stuff more, I think. But the issue that I've had with that is when I have any specific idea about how I want this podcast to go, it tends to not go that way. And I tend to get pouty about it and just try to drive the fucking train into the mountain, you know? Plane, try to drive the plane into the train that is thus loaded with TNT and then into the painted on tunnel entrance, a Wile E. Coyote Acme style painted on tunnel entrance that is actually just rock and death and then just to explode. And it's actually a volcano, and so we punch through and lava pours down. What I'm trying to say is I'll intentionally try to fuck it up. It might not be super intentionally, it might be sub-intentionally, you know, little bit below the surface, but still there is an intention there. So when stuff doesn't start going good, I just like to drive it right into the ground and say, you know, okay, so this is weak, let's destroy it. This sucks, let's explode it and start over fresh and make something stronger, better, faster, more stable. It hangs on the wall better, you know what I mean? So if I go into it completely retarded, the R-tard, if I go into it completely R-tarded, then I don't worry about it so much. I'm like, all right, so it's nothing. It's actually literally nothing, and so there's no proof of concept needed. It's just a riff. It's just going on, and I don't need it to be any percentage of good. And that's when it comes out okay, I think. It comes out aight then. But the couple episodes that have been notably bad, number 9 and number 7, that have been notably terrible, and I gauge the terribleness on the funness involved for me. So you might have other opinions. Just you just scream them to the world. Go out on the rooftops and yell your opinions about the Face Off podcast to anybody in your vicinity. Do it in all the different liminals. Go subliminal, where you whisper it in their dreams. Do it liminally, where you just say it across the kitchen table. Do it superliminally. Open up your window and scream it to passersby on the street. Let them know that your loyalties lie in your opinions of the Face Off podcast. All right, that was garbage. Wait, what were we even talking about there? I totally lost it. Oh yeah, so I don't know what this mental illness is called because I didn't research it. I suppose I could research it afterwards, but it's weird because once I get done with one episode, it's out of my mind until the next Monday. I don't even think about it at all. I think about Face Off quite a bit these days, but I don't think about. I try not to think about what I want to do because it's a little more spontaneous this way, and stuff like this. Like, wouldn't it be possible if I was locked into this idea of, I need to read every actor's fucking history off the goddamn internet movie database and we'll see if there's something in there. Like, go sift through this shit for gold, baby. Let's see, maybe one of these guys was in a cool movie that I can talk about. Yeah, cool, that'd be kick ass, bro, real kick ass. But it doesn't work that way, at least not for me. Other people work different ways, you know. Some people do some serious research. Serious. I don't. So there's this Let's pull that pin back out. Let's not take that pin out and start it again. So I had this idea about Face Off. There's this mental illness that people have, and I've been interested in it since I heard it. I like all the variations of mental illness. It doesn't seem, it almost seems to me like if you're walking into a Baskin Robbins and you don't like chocolate, so you go through and mark all the different ice creams that have chocolate in them as poison. And so then people come in and they're like, oh my God, there's a lot of poison in here. Luckily, there's several different types that are poison. That's what I feel about mental illness, is that we're a society, we've all implicitly agreed by being born, really, and just continuing on to adhere to this sort of narrative that we have that's been playing out. And certain things have been labeled as poison because people don't like them, because they're disruptive. So there's a bunch of different ways of thinking and interacting with the world that have been labeled as mental illness, and I think like a lot of that is because it's unpleasant to the person who it's happening to, but sometimes it's so that gets into the argument of good and bad. Sometimes pleasant isn't what you're going for. Sometimes pleasant isn't what you need. Sometimes pleasant is a hindrance to growth. You know, you're just gonna sit in the garden all day and not go do some digging. You know, just gonna sit on the surface all day because it's nice and pleasant and warm and pretty, and you don't want to dig around. Sorry, coughing. So there's a mental illness, and it's when people around you suddenly appear to be imposters. Like you recognize their role, but you don't recognize the people playing the role. So like in the sense of Face Off, Eve Archer is going through her day, and she recognizes her husband, Sean Archer, but he seems different. He's totally a different person, you know? And so this mental illness, because he took his face off. The face it's not him. It's some other dude. It's just a good mask, you know? So with this mental illness, you look at your wife or somebody or your husband or your kids, and you'd say, yes, I understand that there's a role in my life for wife, husband, kids, whatever, but the actor who is playing them, the person who was playing that role before, is a different person now, and I don't trust them. That's like the pod people, you know, Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of shit. And it makes me wonder if this is like a manifest destiny thing. Like we're creating these symptoms in people. We're creating these issues in people because there's a Truman Show. You know, the Truman Show, where the guy was raised from a baby in a reality show, and people were all actors around him, and the whole world revolved around him. There's an actual condition where people think that's happening to them. And I wonder if that came before the Truman Show or after the Truman Show, if we created that particular condition. I feel like bipolar disorder is a created condition. I feel like a person who doesn't have a physical imperative or whatever towards bipolar can be made bipolar by being put into a bipolar situation, whether that's living with a bipolar person and dealing with their ups and downs and having to conform to those ups and downs or to break around them, you know, especially if the person is in a authoritarian position like a parent or somebody, you know, or being put into a bipolar situation like in well, you know, I don't know for sure, I've never been there, but like the soldiers over in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff like that, it seems like a bipolar situation where it's either unbelievably boring or insanely, you know, crazy. It's one or the other. and it's unpredictable, you know, in what in how that's going to happen. You kind of have to bend around that sort of schedule of unpredictability and everything. So I feel like the body can become bipolar because it's not a, and this is weird because I'm not a schizophrenic person, but I wonder if a schizophrenic person recognizes schizophrenia as a physical condition, because it's just the pathways through the brain, how they're moving that energy around. You know, that's what I feel about bipolar anyway, is when stuff changes, it changes physically. It changes physically because the mental part, and that brings up the line. Where is the fucking line in between physical and mental, you know? There is no line. Once you get down close enough, you pull back far enough, it looks like there's a line. But if you get down close enough, there is no fucking line. They're just this. It's the same thing. It's a physical process that causes a mental reaction or whatever. You know what I mean? I gotta 1 second. Yeah. All right. So that's what I was thinking. This movie's got all kinds of cool imposter shit in it. All kinds of cool, like, you know, crazy creeping dread. Like, this person, and a lot of trust, man. All these people trust they don't, it's either they trust their instincts way too much or they don't trust their instincts at all. And it's like, oh, this is weird. Who's this person? It doesn't seem like the same person, but I'm going to just go with it, you know? Anyway, that thought's not as deep as I thought it might have been, but it was an idea. Try doing that. Here's some homework to try to make you go insane. Take somebody who you have constant daily contact with, not constant, but, you know, a lot. First, take note of who you have constant daily contact with. That's a weird thing. If you start taking, okay, maybe you don't want to make lists of people that you know and deal with at work and in your daily life, but who do you deal with the most? Make a list of people, put in some estimates of time, and then start marking them off. Do I like this person? Does this person help me enrich my life? Is this, not even do I like them, I mean, do I enjoy their company? Do I not enjoy their company? Does this person help me to grow? Does this person hinder my growth? You know, all this different stuff. And then go kill yourself, because 90% of the interactions we have are garbage. It's like, goddamn, don't kill yourself. Go change your life. Switch it up a little bit. Find somebody good to talk to. I don't talk to a lot of people at all. I talk to Angela the most, and she's my favorite person, so that works out great. I like that. I don't talk to anybody at work. I maybe have, a half of three quarters of a conversation every week at work. There's nobody there. It's completely empty. It's just a parking garage and me by myself. I listen to people talk all the time on podcasts and stuff, so I guess that's sort of like choosing to spend time with people. But I don't have a lot of conversations. The most conversation that I have is with Angela. That's my favorite person in the world, so that works out great. That's a pretty smart move. I don't know. Maybe it's not smart. But it feels smart. It feels good. Like, I feel happier now than I ever have on a fundamental level, which is good, because if fundamentally I was less happy than I had ever been before, I don't know. Is happy the most important thing? I think it's pretty close, because happy isn't necessarily, it's not it's not weak. It's not happy's tough. Happy's rough. If you can stay fundamentally happy in a tough situation, That's important, I think, because the growth comes from those tough situations, you know. So they say, like, if you keep a plant in the sun all the time, it's not going to grow great. That's why the night is there. The night makes it grow because it's got to fight, you know, got to fight to survive or something. I'm not a horticulturist. I don't even know what a horticulturist is, so don't take my word for it. All right, let's dive in here. Let's dive into a little face-off stuff. I did the old school method. I went through and took some notes. So I got some notes, a good solid amount of notes, you know, a good pile of notes. But it's only from the first half of the movie because that's the only thing I can keep my attention on. Man, once it gets, I can get through the prison scene. But once that scene's over, I fade quick, man. It's like, oh, Jesus, are we only to this point? Are we only to Dietrich's house shooting? Are we only to the blood test? Are we only to Laszlo's funeral? Are we only to the speedboat chase? Is this really as far as we've gotten so far? It takes so long to get through the end of this movie because it sucks so goddamn bad. And I've been trying hard even to temper myself to to watch shitty movies, shitty action movies, you know, that are that I know are kind of garbage when I go in. And I don't know, maybe it's just the repetitivity, the repetitiveness of it, just watching it over and over again. That's just getting to me. I feel like I could watch these. I don't know, man. I tried watching Watchmen. I tried to watch The Watchmen. That was a terrible movie. That makes me wonder if Zack Snyder has ever had a conversation in his life with anybody that was comprehensible. Because them shits don't seem to work. It's like the words, the sentences that follow each other don't collude. They don't work. All right, on to Fate. So at the beginning of this movie, Castor Troy, when he shoots Sean Archer in the back and kills Mikey, he's wearing a pinstripe suit like a fucking 40s gangster, and he's laying in the grass on a hill. I mean, he's got that fucking mustache, man. But the pinstripe suit, how did I never notice that before? You know, it seems like that would be an obvious thing. It's his whole thing. He's wearing a suit, and it's pinstripe. Like, who does that? Who wears a fucking pinstripe? Why would you wear... I heard that UFC guy, the Conor McGregor, that he had a pinstripe suit. It was a line of his clothings or something. It was a pinstripe suit, and all the pinstripes were micro text that said "fuck you." So it was like thousands of "fuck yous" in stripe form on his suit. That's some subliminal shit right there. That's some subliminal shit. You might not know it. You might not know it when you're walking up to that dude, but there's 1,000 "fuck yous" coming your way through his. I think wearing a pinstripe suit in general is a fuck you to everybody. I mean, I'm wearing look. This shirt's striped. This shirt has stripes, and I'm not into it. I'm not happy with it. I don't like that. I want to get rid of all my stripes and all my plaids. I want to have a single color system for the wardrobe. You know what I mean? It's like black shirt and white pants. That would be good. That would be pretty good. If that's just what I need is more weirdness in my closet. As people come over, is like, oh, you just have 10 pairs of white pants and 10 black shirts and red socks red socks, and patent leather shoe. Patent leather shoe. I've just figured out that in order to delete the plaid and stripes from my wardrobe, it's too expensive. So I have to buy other shirts, and so I'm gonna keep them for now. I'm just not gonna wear them anywhere important. I got a couple of gray shirts for that. I'd like to have some more colored shirts. I'd like a nice. I saw some orange shirts, man. Nice, solid. I think they were prison jumpsuits. But so at some point, so when Castor kills Mikey Archer, he gets the feels. He gets a weird look in his face where he's like, "Huh." I have a theory that killing that kid was, it was a sub. Okay. It was a self-destructive. No, okay, so it was an unconscious act, but he did it on purpose. It was just below his level of understanding of what he was doing, but he did it on purpose. He thought, maybe I can kill both of them. And he thought that would be, at some subconscious level, he thought that could be the thing that pushes him over the edge, this edge that he's seen holding him back, because he was, he's like, I'm going to wear a pinstripe suit, and I'm going to grow a mustache, and I'm going to, do criminal stuff. But there was this edge where he's like, I'm not crazy like I want to be. I'm not doing the criminal thing like I want to be doing the criminal thing. And there's just something that's holding me back. And he's like, I know how to fix it. I'll kill a kid. And his dad at the same time. And in doing this thing, so he has a weird reaction to it, though, where he's like, oh, like his upper consciousness was like, oh, no, I just crossed a line. That's crazy. And then he left Archer alive. He left Sean alive, which is wild, too. So here's the thing, though. How this thing plays out is how it played out. Sean is wounded. Mikey's dead. So Sean has to deal with Mikey's death. Now, how we're made to believe it was supposed to play out, because he actually says it later on, that was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. Doing some backpedaling. But how we're made to think it's supposed to play out is that Sean was supposed to die and Mikey was supposed to be alive. And this is okay. This brings into stark contrast the difference between physical pain and suffering and emotional pain and suffering, because we're made to feel like Mikey being killed is worse than Sean being killed in front of Mikey, than him being killed is somehow worse for him than would have been if it had just been him witnessing his dad's death by sniper rifle on a fucking merry-go-round. I posit that Mikey suffered less being just shot dead on a merry-go-round than he would have having witnessed his dad's death right in front of his eyes and then lived for another 60 fucking years, with that shit, with that shit. Because you don't get over that too fast. I mean, whoa, man. It'd be fucked up, I don't know, maybe. You know anybody that's dad got shot in front of them when they were like 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, 2 years old, 1 year old? I don't know how old that kid is. If they're not driving, then I have no clue. No clue. All right, so physical versus emotional harm. Which one is your favorite? I always thought physical was the worst. And it turns out not necessarily. Physical harm is pretty brutal. You hurt yourself, but it's visible. That's a problem I've noticed. If you have a broken arm, people are sympathetic. If you have a broken leg, people are sympathetic. If you got a fucking caved in skull, people are sympathetic because they can see it, and that's what we use. That's how we get most of our information. It's through the eyeball holes. But if you have a bad back, the symptoms of it are way more subtle. People can't see it. If you have a bad hip, the symptoms are way more subtle. People can't see it. If you got if you had a heart attack and they had to pull your fucking heart out and you have a gigantic scar down your chest that you could rip open your shirt and show people, that's different. Then they can see it. They can be like, oh, Jesus, look at that. They had to rip open your chest and pull your fucking heart out. It's insane. But if you just have a shitty heart that hasn't quite given up yet and it makes your life garbage, people don't give a fuck because they can't see it. All they see is your shittiness. And they're like, you suck. It's like, not really. There's just parts that aren't. There's just parts that are garbage, you know. So you gotta, but with it, and that's so in that comparison, emotional pain, you can't necessarily see it. You can't see the emotional pain that somebody has had done to them or caused in their own life. You know, it's and so we have a lot less sympathy for that. And it's the same with mental illness. Fuck your crazy ass. Go live in the park where you belong with your crazy ass. That was a bad voice. And didn't like it. So, on to Sinclair the Bomb, who is a lady. That's our only flash of lady nudity in this movie is Sinclair's cartoon breasts flapping in the wind when she gets disarmed. Is that a metaphor there? So she says the bomb is a female. The bomb is characterized as a female in cartoon form. Sinclair the Bomb. She says, "I want to blow you away," and she turns into a skull, and that's when she's armed. She's like aggressive. She's gonna blow you away, and then when she gets disarmed by Castor Troy, she flaps her tits in the wind and is all excited. That's a metaphor? Is that a metaphor? He had to try twice. The first time didn't work, even though he knew the code. He had to try it again, to put in the cheat code again. But Sinclair's inner workings are only alluded to through diagrams and blueprints and stuff like that. We just see the cases. You know, we're told that this is a complex, crazy bomb, but we're not really shown the cool inner workings. Like in Die Hard with a Vengeance, where they had that huge bomb in that school, and it had those big old tubs of liquid, and then it turned out that it was a fake bomb, but it was still pretty kick-ass, because it had these tubs of liquid, and they mixed, and it was scary and intense, and all that stuff. What other good bombs are there? They're usually pretty stupid. They're usually like just some wires, you know, some wires here and there, some wires to cut a couple of wires, a couple of little parts. I don't know. Bombs are a strange thing, aren't they? It's like, here, take this and explode. I want to blow that thing up. It's this weird concentrated energy, you know, and there's all these different kinds of bombs. This one's a biological bomb. It's got a biological payload. It's supposed to be like they said Gulf War syndrome, which reminds me of The Rock, the movie The Rock. They had those green those green orbs. I should watch that movie again. It's probably not as bad as Face Off. So the point there being that you can lie about what's in a box. The box is potential, basically. So you can say, hey, here's a box, and if you basically represent it, if you lie within the confines of the size that's available. You know what I mean? So if it's a tiny little ring box, you can't say there's a car in there. But if it's a car size box, you could say there's a ring in there. You could say there's 10,000 rings in there. You know what I mean? So you can lie about what's in the box as long as your lie is presented well, you know, with confidence and stuff. It's a, I don't know. It's pretty dumb. That's the word I was looking for. It is it's stupid. Okay, so I have a theory that Pollux Troy likes to watch. He's a voyeur. He likes to watch his brother have sex. He likes to watch his brother be violent, get into fights and stuff. He likes to just watch his brother do stuff. You know, he likes to watch he gets off on it. He gets off on living vicariously through Castor being this what do you call that? Like a personality. Like he's got this crazy outgoing personality and he gets off on it. All the little stuff. He even kind of has a little he gets a little chill when Castor what's the word? When he shit, I lost the word. The word where you tell somebody they did bad. You did bad. So at the beginning, Castor Troy is telling the henchmen that they did a bad job, and Pollux kind of gets a little chill from it, like, ooh, that's good. Look at him go. He's so cool. And then, and so my theory is that they do a lot of stuff together, and Pollux watches and Castor does the deed, and it's subtle. It's not even really subtly. It's just quickly. That theory is supported in the plane at the beginning with Winters, the FBI agent, who's posing as a flight attendant, because he is 100% planning to just get it on. He's just planning to get it on with her right in the coach with Pollux sitting there looking all creepy, watching the banging go down, watching the rutting go down, that dirty rutting, rutting, gross. So yeah, that's his whole thing. He's a nasty little troll man. Nasty little troll man too. He is violent too. He gets his ass whipped. I like that too. It's quick. It's a real quick scene in the airport, but he does get his ass whipped. That is one of the few proficient moments that Margaret Cho gets in this whole entire movie, is kicking the fucking tits off of Pollux Troy. It's solid, man. It's one of the better fight scenes in the whole movie, but it's not really a fight scene. It's just a full-on beating. It's Tito and Tito and Margaret Cho get the ass whooping on Pollux Troy ass whooping. It's good stuff. I like that. So he is definitely, I'm saying definitely a voyeuristic person, and that's going to go good in the Greek tragedy rewrite of Face Off, because that's a good personality trait for somebody to have. Just it's a solid voyeur, a solid weird voyeur. You know, just that's his thing, and his brother's cool with it. His brother's like, hell yeah, bro, it's all good. He's definitely an exhibitionist. I'm out there. I like to let the balls flap in the wind, and mi casa es su casa as far as that goes, my friend. And let's see here. Oh, okay. So at the beginning of this movie, there's a helicopter and airplane fight, so to speak. Sean Archer's flying a helicopter and trying to keep Castor Troy from taking off in his airplane, which is interesting, but also at the end of this movie is two boats fighting each other. So 2 aircraft at the beginning, 2 watercraft at the end, and having fights with their aircraft and watercraft. They avoid car chases in this movie for the most part, and just I think totally 100% they avoid car chases, but they have an airplane or an aircraft fight and a watercraft fight. So that's a real treat for us. A real treat for us. It made me think if they're going for air and water and earth and fire, or if they were just like, let's do something different than cars. And buses was already done with speed. With speed. That was a movie. You remember that one? Wasn't Dennis Hopper was in Speed, man? He was the bad guy. I like Dennis Hopper. That was a cool dude, I think. Probably not. If he wasn't dead, he'd have probably got the shit me too'd out of him, man. He was probably a real prick, but I mean, that's what most of his best roles were, was real bastards, you know? Real shitty. I don't know. In True Romance, he was pretty cool. This was a pretty. I mean, he wasn't cool, but he was a good character. He was a decent dude. That's what I'm trying to say. Decent dude, man. There are so many wires in the scene at the airport. So many. Well, I just got to stop to say that this microphone thing that I handmade, this microphone cover. This microphone cover is definitely toxic. 100%. I can just feel shards going into my nose. I can feel it in my throat. I feel like I'm swelling up all over the place. So definitely toxic. 100% toxic. I'm absolutely positive of that fact. So I'm going to have to work that out. Try to get to the store at some point and drop that one fat bone on a real thing. All right, Sean Archer. Oh, the wires. There's so many wires. There's so many wires in that airport scene. And if you don't see the wires, you see the result of the wires, which is almost worse. You know that thing where somebody does a wire jump and they just lift off the ground. They just run and lift off the ground. And it's like, no, you have to jump. You got to use your legs and jump like it's a real thing. Don't just lift off the ground, dummy. So we see a lot of that too. And you just see wires, just actual wires off of people's backs. Like, man, I've only watched this movie 10 times and I'm picking out wires all over the place. If I was working on this movie, I would watch it 10 times at least. If I was the wire guy that was supposed to be erasing wires, yeah, I would have found them wires and erased them. Come on, man. You couldn't even work at McDonald's, dude. Shit, they would fuck you up if you kept sending out hamburgers without burgers in them. They'd be like, you got to put the burger in, or else you're fired because you're not doing it. So if you're the guy that's supposed to be erasing wires, get in there and do it. I don't know. I'm cool with him slacking off. I don't give a fuck. Those wires are dumb. I would have done a better job, though. I probably wouldn't have. I would have probably left all the wires. I'd have probably put extra wires in because fuck that shit. I'm not your slave. All right? There's a line. Okay, Sean Archer has shown himself over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to be a selfish bastard. A real hard-ass, selfish, nerd, idiot bastard, right? Not deserving of our sympathies necessarily. So, in one line that shows that, in a sense, is at the beginning of the movie in the airplane hangar scene. All these are from that scene before I got bored. The beginning of the movie in the airplane hangar scene. He says, the difference between you and me, he says this to Castor Troy, the difference between you and me is I don't care if I live. And that is a dick thing to say, especially if you got a functioning family who's relying on you, you know, to be part of this thing that you created, to be part of the family that you set up. So you got a wife, you got a daughter, and I mean, you got people to extrapolate further, you got people that rely on you in a job that's quote unquote important, and you don't care if you live. So all these people are putting their shit in with you, and you don't care if you live. You don't care. You don't care anymore. Is that really it? You're so bummed out about your stupid dead kid that you don't care if you live anymore, if you leave your wife who cares about you and still thinks that you care about her enough to care a little about living. Your daughter that has no clue what's going on, always trying to change her face, always trying to change her face and her attitude because she doesn't know how to deal with grief because her alien dad doesn't know how to deal with grief either. It's crazy. That's a crazy selfish thing to say. If you don't care that you live or die, then just figure some shit out, bro. I think I don't know. It seems crazy selfish. It seems maybe it was just a hollow threat. It's funny though because I don't think suicide's selfish, but I think that attitude is. Yeah. All right. We got another good stunt double sighting after Castor Troy gets flung down the jet stream. His shitty dead body's laying there on the ground, and it looks like it was this dude, Colin Mochrie. I don't know how to say his name. He was the other guy in Whose Line Is It Anyway? There was Drew Carey, Ryan Stiles, and Colin Mochrie. I'm pretty sure that's the guy they got for Nicolas Cage's stunt double in that part. Why would you have so many different stunt doubles? I counted at least 3 different stunt doubles for Nicolas Cage and John Travolta each. So that's 6 different stunt doubles for 2 guys. That's why would you do that? You pick the one guy, man. Pick the one guy, homie. Anyway, that guy was pretty funny, right? Whose line was it anyway? Some improv. Because like that improv, I need a place. And I need a career. I need a place and a career. Give me a place and a job and some type of fruit, and we will make you laugh. We will make you laugh. So, Sean Archer, selfish prick bastard, as we've gone over countless times, even in this podcast alone. But once he gets Castor Troy, he says to his wife, I got him. Now I'll go to therapy. I'll talk about Mikey. I'll get a desk job. I'll do all this bullshit, right? He makes all these promises real quick to her about how things are going to be better. It's not going to be worse, you know? And that's part of his selfishness. He's setting up stipulations about how he's going to heal from his wounds, you know what I mean? And he is saying, first and foremost, I will not start to heal until I catch Castor Troy. And it was 6 goddamn years later, 6 years before he even started thinking, started even giving the idea of healing a chance in his head, you know, percolating that idea. 6 years that his wife and daughter were going through all this stuff, you know, and him just a stone, just a rock, completely refusing to heal until his stipulations are met. And that's crazy. That's crazy, man. You got to go right up the middle, I think. I think you don't get to have the stipulations. You got to just get in there and muck around. You know what I mean? You got to get in there and just slosh around in all the nastiness and hope you get out. That's part of it. Maybe you won't get out. This guy wouldn't. He is a dumb idiot, I think. He's got these like little ticks. There's a thing, and I noticed it for first time, like smoking a lot of weed and getting high and watching The Big Lebowski. And the character, The Big Lebowski, has a tendency to slam his fists on his desk, which is almost an idiom. It's like a thing that you do without thinking about it, or you recognize it without thinking about it. But it's intense. I think they even in The Big Lebowski they switch the scene over to the dude, and he like starts. Like it surprises the shit out of him, you know? He's like, oh, he has this big reaction. That's the reaction we should have. It should be surprising even as viewers, but it isn't. And Sean Archer does the same thing. He slams his desk from time to time. Slams his fist on his desk. It's a pretty violent thing to do, you know? It's like, I don't know. You gotta kind of be aware of what you do. That's the thing. Like if you're talking to somebody and you slam your fist on your desk, it's almost like saying, I want to do this to your face, but I know that I'll get in trouble, so I'm going to do it to the desk. This is so shitty. What a shitty thing to do. Shitty emotional, violence. Shitty emotional violence. That's what we like. There's a thing that happens in this movie that happens still to this fucking day. This movie is, God, it's like 30-something years old, right? And it still happens. I can see it in this movie, but it still happens this day, and that is computers just making noises. Just bleep, blop, burp, burp, when you're typing. Like, the little stupid fucking noises. Little beeps and bloops and blops and chicka noises and stuff, and then lasers, when the lasers are coming out, they make little sci-fi noises and stuff too. The stuff doesn't make noises. It's quiet. It's all quiet. Gauges and gauges and buttons, and it's all blooping and blopping and bleeping. So that's the first thing when you get a phone. The first thing you turn off is all the bloops and blops and bleeps. It's like, don't make those noises when I'm doing stuff. It pisses me off. And they still do it in movies all the time. It's like, it doesn't do that. Stop it. That was dumb. There's a weird hair fetish in this movie too. If it's not a hair, it's not a close-up on some weird body hair, some knuckle hair, or some chest hair, or some fucking head hair, or a mustache, then it's highlighting the lack of hair. So Dietrich is a bald dude, and when they introduce him, it's just a full-on close-up shot of the back of his bald, stupid head. I don't know what we're getting at with his baldness, his stupid baldness. Ugh. So there's a spot you can go. I just wanted to complain about Dietrich. I didn't have a lot on him because I zoned out right when he showed up. Good Travolta. John Travolta, I contend, is a giant insect of some sort that just wears various human flesh that he steals from hobos or whatever. But there's a bug with skin scene at 28 minutes 24 seconds. It goes for about 30 seconds, I don't know, but it's when he's walking up to his house and he's had a bad day and he's got to tell his wife that he's got one more job he's got to do. And it's like this man has never had an emotion in his life, and he's just reading about what it's like to have a bad day and what it feels like. And this is like Charlie Brown, it's bizarre. Looks like an alien. Looks like an alien to me. I'm just shitting on John Travolta now. Shitting on John Travolta. In the same, so yeah, check it out. 28 and 24, you'll get a good old shot of John Travolta being a creepy fucking alien. Remember that movie Men in Black, the original Men in Black? and Vincent D'Onofrio played the Ager character, and when what that was this dude named Ager, and he got his skin pulled off, and this giant insect bug put the skin on and was walking around, and he's all fucked up. That's what John Travolta reminds me of. He's got an Ager suit on. It's so gross. And I do challenge anybody to come up with a good John Travolta movie besides Pulp Fiction. I don't even think I'll enjoy Pulp Fiction after this. I don't think so. Maybe. Could be. All right, Sean is selfish as fuck. We've gone over this so many times. His tendency is that he will not accept a hardship unless he controls the situation. So he will not accept something going on unless he controls it. So, like for instance, the face-off thing. He didn't accept the face-off thing to begin with. He had to make sure that all his ideas didn't work. So he had to control the situation up into the point where his plan didn't work. So, okay, yeah, we'll do this. We'll give it a shot. Sometimes you got to go with it. You got to let life take a huge shit on your face and deal with it. You can't say, you know what? Don't take that shit right now. Come back in a week when I'm more prepared to have a shit on my face, because that might make it worse. It might make it harder, you know? You might not have plans in a week, but you might have shit come up in that time. So the hardship, like an integral part of accepting and dealing with a hardship is the fact that you can't control it. You can only control how you react to it. It's like if you prepare for the worst and the worst happens and your preparedness pays off, then that wasn't the worst, because you were prepared for it and it was fine. It might have been difficult, but it sure as shit wasn't the fucking worst. You know what I mean? Like, clearly, in your preparing for the worst, you didn't prepare for your legs to get cut off, but they didn't get cut off, so it wasn't the worst. You were prepared for pretty bad, but not prepared for the worst. Right. All right. Cool. I feel for Tito, man. I like Tito. He's a good guy. I want to actually do a whole Tito episode, probably around episode 28. So we'll see about that. But I feel for him. He has an interesting past. He's in the prime of his career when all this shit starts popping off. He is number 3, basically, in the FBI. We got Laszlo, big dog up top, who is on his way out. We got Sean Archer, who's number 2 man at the FBI, who's moving up. And we got Tito, Sean Archer's right hand, who, when Sean moves up, guess where Tito goes? Right up, baby. He's doing his thing. He's doing his business. He is on his way up. He's making moves. He's making shit happen, bro. And then he gets fucking fucked. This is the end of his life. He fucking dies tied up, being lit on fire with gasoline. That is crazy. He's just going about his life, and then he gets fucked over, and that's the end of his life. Man, it's so weird. He kind of deserves it because he is wearing a class ring, which is some dorky shit, man. Because you're like 40, dude. You need to get rid of that shit. You ain't been in a class for 20 years, man. Come on. Get rid of your class ring. Nobody cool wears that. You fucking nerd. Why do all class rings look the same? They got the same sort of design. This big gaudy sort of thing. Stupid. Dummies. Stupid dumb. Okay, so the scene, we're getting close here. The surgery scene, the face-off scene, is no dialogue for almost 3 minutes. That's crazy. It's pretty tense. It's a pretty good technique. This is the first time I've complimented the technique in this movie. But to ratchet up the tension for the next scene, that's a pretty good technique because they talk the whole time. The only dialogue in that whole 3 minutes is Tito going, "Oh, God. Oh, my God." It doesn't do it like that. He just kind of goes, "Oh, God. Oh, God." So it ratchets up the tension, ratchets it up. And then the next scene is Archer seeing himself with Castor Troy's face for the first time, and he flips the fuck out. He freaks out, and that's a good release for that tension. You got to have that. It's like an AC/DC song. You know what I mean? You listen to those guitars, and they do that thing, kind of making this little like scratching your back, scratching your back, like I'm scratching your back with this little guitar sound, like for those about to rock, right? For those about to rock, man. Oh no, wait, maybe that's not the song I'm thinking of. I don't know. It doesn't even matter. It's most all of their songs, and then it goes into this big bam, bam, bam release. You're building up this tension, and then bam, bam, bam. That's every AC/DC song in the world is building up some tension. Down, down, down. That real tight closed cymbal, and then those big splashy splashes. So that's what this scene kind of does too. It builds up this crazy tension with the music and all the little noises of the surgery and stuff, but nobody's saying some dumb shit, idiot dialogue, and then boom, it explodes with Castor Archer flipping out and smashing a mirror with a big old thingamajigger here. So he says this thing wrong. Castor Archer, or Sean Troy. I don't know. It's the Archer. Castor as Archer says the thing. He says the thing wrong. He says, I hate to see you go, and this is to Eve. He says, I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave. And that's not right. And it feeds in it. What the saying is I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you walk away. And the implication there is that I enjoy to watch the movement of your butt cheeks as you're leaving. That's the implication. Because if you're just riding off on a Segway, it might not be as awesome. But it's walking away. It's the movement of the walking creates the enjoyment of the viewing of the butt cheeks from the backside. From the backside. So it's an important distinction. So what this makes me think of, and because I never thought of it. Well, so I never thought of it before until I did. But I've read some books that were in different languages, and certain languages I'm fine with translations. Other languages, not so much. If it's translated from Spanish to English, almost across the board, I dislike it. There's some weird, what do you call that? There's some weird, I don't know. There's something weird. It's it's got a very official feel to it. It's real tight and, I don't know, correct maybe is the way to think of it. But from Russian to English or German to English, I've been fine with. That works out. Those seem to work out fine. I don't have any problem with that, I was trying to think if there's any other. Icelandic to English. I've read one of those. I think that seems to work out okay. That's the oldest language there is, Icelandic. The oldest unchanged language. So what this... Chinese. Chinese and Japanese to English. That's actually a good point. I did not like the Chinese books that I've read translated, they had the same feel as the Spanish ones, but the Japanese books I was okay with. Interesting. Not that interesting, you racist. Jesus Christ. But that's what makes me think of this movie as like a bad translation. Like, like maybe if this movie was made in China, and with Chinese actors and in Chinese crew and all that stuff, it would have been better. It would have been good. But this is just an American translation of it, and it sucks. It fucking sucks. It's just like slightly to the left, or whatever. I don't know. So it's like you're looking at it, but it's just sort of blurry, or it's just sort of off. You're like, oh man, if they just sort of aligned this thing, if they just tuned it in a little bit, it would have been pretty good. But now it's garbage. So that's the way I see this. It's like a translation that's not great. Like a sloppy translation, All right, we already talked. Okay, so there's a diary, Eve's diary. It's pretty much just on the nose. It looks basically just like some script out of the out of the movie. Like, oh, Sean told me this, but then he did this, and blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. I don't even know why I brought it up. It's because I wrote it down. That's why. Sean Archer as Castor Troy, while he is in Erewhon prison, he sympathizes with Dubov, and I was trying to figure out what it was, but I figured it out. It's because his wife is also getting banged by Castor Troy illicitly, so because that was the thing why Dubov was so mad at Castor Troy was because when Dubov went to prison, Castor had a quote unquote sex sandwich with his wife and sister. Ugh, a sex sandwich, gross. So Archer sympathized with him. He said, I know what it's like to have Castor Troy bang my wife. It's not great. It makes me feel like shit. So I'm going to help you out to the very end. When you fall off the railing after being shot several times, I'm going to still try to save you, even though your ass is bleeding out right now because you got shot in the chest and the gut. You don't come back from that shit, all right? You don't come back from it. On a quick note, Dietrich's apartment looks like it should be in New York. It's got, I want to say like water towers and stuff on top of it. It does not look like an LA sort of deal there. It definitely has a New York tone to it. And our last point of the evening or early morning, however you want to call it. You call it whatever you want. I don't mind. One of the henchmen, I wouldn't call him a henchman, I guess. This is one of the officers or something of Dietrich's little army, one of the friends or whatever. He has a coke nail, one of those big, long, pinky nails, and it's like painted black. You only get to see it for a second, maybe more. I'll look for it more next time. But that is gross. You shouldn't have that. It's such a weird thing that it would come to that. I like my cocaine so much that I will grow an apparatus from my finger. I mean, it makes sense. I guess, you got the fingernails. You want the coke, so you just want to have a scooper. I don't know, man. It seems like a lot of coke. Like, you'd have to have access to quite a bit of coke. And I guess these guys are pretty wealthy, so if they like it, they like it. I don't know if it would be cocaine in this movie because none of the drugs are real. The drugs that they reference. There's a pharmaceutical drug that I can't remember what it was that Pollux was taking. There was some drug that Castor had too, but he wasn't taking it. There was the shit that they put in the water, the Alka-Seltzer basically, and Quantrax. I was saying hops and something. I don't know. There's just all these drugs that aren't real. So I think they shied away from that. They wanted drugs in there, but they didn't want to say heroin and cocaine and amphetamine and all this shit like that shit, So next week, we're gonna have a fractured viewing. It's gonna spread it out over the whole week. And hopefully, in that sense, in that way, I'll be able to dig down a little deeper and find something else, something more important. We're really not making a lot of headway on finding the meaning of existence in this movie so far. The only contenders are for the meaning of life, the meaning of existence. It's mostly terrible with no redeeming qualities. It could be a huge waste of time, and life is garbage. So, those ones are those are the most uplifting of messages, but we'll work on it. We'll get there. We'll get somewhere, man. We'll go and get it somewhere now. It's all good. I did watch some movies. I got caught up in Ash versus the Evil Dead for a minute. That was pretty good for the first season. Didn't really care for the second season, and haven't really gotten back into it. It got super good. It was a gory show. I like those the Evil Dead movies, the Army of Darkness and stuff. They got that place, that nostalgia place, that nostalgia sort of place. But I was watching that for a while, kind of skipping around, not really getting into anything. I don't know. I'm trying for dumb action sort of movies and stuff. A little bit of Watchmen, that was awful. Trying for like those dumb action movies and stuff, trying to numb myself out with them or something there. I'm not interested in watching the new Avengers movie. Oh, I did watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. I watched part of that. I hated that. It was an awful piece of shit. Wait, I might have talked about that last week. Yeah, so good stuff, Not bad. Everything's good. That's what I'm saying. Nothing to write home about. On the entertainment front, it's all a bunch of dumb diddles. Dumb diddles, my friend. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here while the getting's good. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for, if you're listening to this one and you haven't listened to episode 9, just go ahead and skip it. It was not a great one. Same with episode 7, also not great. But if you did already listen to those two and you stuck around, good on you. Thanks for being a friend. Thanks for hanging out. And I got you know where I'm at. I'm on all the social media. Don't be fun. Twitter and Facebook and wherever else. Instagram. You can talk to me, send me notes and messages and questions, comments, suggestions, and I will read them with my face and not my eyes. I will read them in Braille with my face and not my hands. It'll be great. Make that contact. All right. I'm trying to spontaneously come up with a catchphrase. Still not working. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for streaming and watching, listening, spending some time with Face Off and me. Have a great everything. May all your dreams come true. Goodbye.